I read the entire Bible front to back. They found these scrolls and brought them together and made one document, one book. But the book is made up of a lot of people's interpretations of history, metaphors, especially in the New Testament. The Old Testament is a lot of genealogical and historical documentation. This New Testament is a lot of people's personal accounts, prophets, followers of Christ. And they took all of these books and they made one book, the Bible. So I read the Bible intellectually.
I like that she didn't position herself as an expert. She's talking about the canonization or the formation of the Bible. Some Christians, they aren't just looking at 66 books. Those that are Catholic, they're actually looking at 73 books. And then if they're Orthodox, it's up to 81 books. This is a collection of writings that cover, we're talking about the 66, because most of us is what we deal with, over a 1,500-year period. And so you're dealing with about 40, some say 35 authors as it relates to these 66 books. None of these authors were women, and most of these authors were Afro-Asiatic, because when you look at the origin of the Bible, I'm talking about going all the way back to the most complete, the Ethiopian, you're dealing with brown men. But then as time went along and Europe got hold of their version of Christianity, then they used it to colonize the West. Then you got all these interpreters now, or translations rather, and you begin to get the white hand involved. Now, all of those were white males. And those changes and alterations and different versions and different prints and the corrections, we're getting to thousands of renditions of the Bible. And that didn't stop really until around 1947. And so you got the New International Version, you got the King James Version. And see, it depends on what denomination you are, which version you follow. And there's some versions that have certain parts left out. Some versions, they take it out and change this verse. They don't like that verse. This is a holy book. It's also a poetic collection. It is also a scientific collection. It's a political collection, because remember now, there's these changes, and these changes are for different reasons. So the Bible is not just sacred, not just mystical and prophetic, but it's also astrological, it's also scientific, historical, fanatical, illogical, because say one thing here and say another there. Of course, you get into certain teachers, they know how to compare and say, no, it just says this in this phase and that in that phase. But there are parts of the Bible, it says one thing, then the very opposite thing in the other part. And some parts are just borrowed from other religions and faiths and stories. Even the quotes of Jesus were said by Horus. They were said by other gods that predate Jesus thousands of years. And then Jesus says, according to the book, now according to the book and what was put in there, the exact same thing in our King James Version of the Bible. Ladies and gentlemen, these are just truths. I am not trying to get you to unbelieve anything, but I am telling you the fact. Your belief is just your belief, but the fact is just the fact. For me, as I began to uncover the truth concerning certain collections and certain writings, it just caused me to fall deeper in love with the revelation that I've had about God, the pathway being Jesus Christ. And so for me, it deepened my faith, because I'm saying, how is it that this book that is a complete lie in parts and totally made up, somehow or another, it put me on a path to know who God is by way of Jesus Christ. And now I've had these very real experiences in the spirit and with miracles and powers. I've seen demons cast out. I've seen people get up from death. I've seen bodies healed. Oh, it's amazing. And then I realized that all of these things, the Bible is a tool, and I use the tool to develop my belief and my faith and channel my energy to where now I know how to get supernatural things done because the Bible tells me so. And I don't have any problem with telling you the truth about the text, because I believe just like I was able to read it and come to this, that the same thing can happen to you. My ancestors, they had the full revelation of God and his son, S-U-N-S-O-N, and God, Sirius, the constellation. They had the concept Father, Son, Mother. They began to understand the femininity and the masculinity and all that was in creation. They had it before everybody else had it. And then they gave them another version, and then it was passed down orally what our practices were, to the point that when they shipped us over here, still giving us this white European revelation and called it Christianity, but was actually colonization and not a revelation. We took it, married it to our spirituality, and we still able to arrive here. Man, that's amazing to me. It deepened my faith. It let me understand the power that I have. Not only is there power in the name of Jesus because the Bible depicts that, but there's power in the name of Jesus because my faith put it there. There is power in the name of Jesus simply because I believe it. And that just makes it more powerful to me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad Jesus was my channel. Jesus was my path. Jesus is the center of my spirituality and my faith now. No matter how African it goes and how astrological it goes, no matter how mystical it goes, no matter how much hoodoo I get into, no matter how much African spirituality I get into, my center is Jesus. And I believe it can happen for you just like it happened for me. And don't let nobody tell you, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way, you got to do it that. If your heart is seeking for love of the self, and love as relates to God and others, you're going to find him for real. And when you pick that book back up, it's going to become a tool in your hand that's going to take you on a very personal journey. And after spirit finishes with you, you are going to be God at shoe level, whatever that looks like for you in whatever industry that your talent, your gifting, your hunger, your desire, your conviction, and your concern has put you in. Plain and simple.